Namaste and welcome to Daily News Simplified, the what, why and how of newspaper reading. Today we would be analyzing the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper of 9 July 2018. Now let us begin. Now we have taken this article from page 11. Now what this article talks about is that the Government of India is planning to update the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines. Now what we'll do with regards to this article is first understand as to what is the National Information Security Policy and Guideline. And after that, we'll try to understand as to what are the reasons for National Information Security Policy and Guidelines to be updated. So now let us begin with the first aspect. Now the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines contains the security policy and the best practices to be implemented by ministries and department of the Government of India to protect the classified information. Now this National Information Security Policy and Guidelines has been developed by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now hopefully up till here you understood the main purpose of the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines, that it contains the security policy and the best practices that are needed to be implemented by various ministries and department of Government of India to protect their classified information. And this National Information Security Policy and Guidelines have been developed by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now let us understand the various reasons because of which the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines needs to be updated. Now the first reason is that this updation is a part of a continuous process to upgrade India's cybersecurity policy so as to counter the new cyber threats that have emerged. Now the second reason for the updation is that cybersecurity used to be the sole preserve of the Ministry of Home Affairs. However, after 2013, several changes were made with regards to the purview of cybersecurity, wherein cybersecurity is now under the purview of the National Security Council Secretariat. And this National Security Council Secretariat is under the Prime Minister's office. And apart from this, the critical cyber infrastructure is now under the National Technical Research Organization. Now this NTRO reports to the Prime Minister's office and the National Security Advisor on security issues. Now apart from this, the non-critical cyber infrastructure would be under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Now the third reason for the updation of the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines is to ensure that it is in sync with the Official Secrets Act. And the fourth and the final reason for the updation of this policy is to ensure that there is a provision of having audit trails and red flags. Now the reason for this provision, if let's say 50 people are accessing some data which is meant to be secured, the system should have a wider security network wherein it leaves an audit trail as to which person has accessed that data. And if someone who is not supposed to access that secure data, the system should raise red flags, which shows that there has been an illegal access to that data. Now hopefully up till here you've also understood the reasons for the updation of the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines. Wherein the first reason is that it is a part of the continuous process to upgrade the cyber security policy of India to counter new cyber threats. The second main reason for the updation is that cyber security used to be the sole reserve of the Ministry of Home Affairs. However, after 2013, cybersecurity is now under the purview of the National Security Council Secretariat, which is under the Prime Minister's office, while the critical cyber infrastructure is now under the purview of the National Technical Research Organization, which advises the Prime Minister's office and the National Security Advisor on national security issues, while lastly, the non-critical cyber infrastructure is under the purview of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Now the third reason for the updation of the policy is to ensure that the new policy is in sync with the Official Secrets Act. And the fourth and the final reason for the updation of the policy is to ensure that there is a provision of audit trails and red flags, wherein if let's say 50 people have access to secure data, the system should leave an audit trail of which person has accessed that data. And in similar terms, the system should also raise red flags if someone who is not supposed to access that data is either trying to gain access or has gained access to that data. Now you have to understand that this policy is undergoing updation and therefore this news is currently in transition. However, with regards to your UPSC syllabus, now the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines and the reason for its updation would be placed in GS Paper 3 within the section Security and the subsection Challenges to Internal Security through Communication Networks and Basics of Cyber Security, wherein previously a similar question has been asked in your UPSC mains examination, which was asked in GS Paper 3 in the year 2015. wherein the question had asked to critically evaluate the National Cybersecurity Policy of 2013, outlining the challenges perceived in its effective implementation. Wherein a similar question for your practice, critically evaluate the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines of 2014, outlining the challenges perceived in its effective implementation. Wherein to answer this question, you can outline the various challenges, such as the need to update the cybersecurity policy to counter new cyber threats, to be in sync with the Official Secrets Act, to have provisions for audit and red flags, apart from other various challenges. Now you have to understand that this article and the explanation given in this section provides a couple of challenges that are perceived in its effective implementation, and you would require a larger purview of the issues of cybersecurity in India to outline the other various challenges. However, for now, hopefully you've understood the National Information Security Policy and Guidelines and the reasons for its updation. And now let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 13. Now what this article talks about is that the Government of India may form an IT-based mechanism to ensure scrutiny of non-cash financial transactions. Now the central government wants the RBI or the Reserve Bank of India to form this IT-based mechanism to keep tabs on the non-financial transactions. And therefore the Reserve Bank of India may become the sole repository of information on non-cash financial transactions. And apart from this, the Reserve Bank of India may develop the IT infrastructure for keeping information on non-cash financial transactions. Now hopefully up till here you have understood the focus of this article, wherein the central government may form an IT-based mechanism to keep tabs on non-financial transactions, and wherein the Reserve Bank of India may develop this IT infrastructure so as to become the sole repository of the information on non-cash financial transactions. Now let us understand the various advantages of forming this IT-based mechanism. Wherein the first advantage is the Income Tax Department and the Enforcement Directorate can seek the required information from the RBI. The second advantage of this IT-based mechanism would be it would help in the identification of shell companies. Now shell companies are those companies that are only set up on paper for financial maneuvering, and these financial maneuvering are mainly intended for money laundering. Now the third main advantage, as highlighted in the article, is that this IT-based mechanism would help in the curbing of black money. And the fourth and the last advantage, as highlighted in the article, is that it would strengthen the ability of the Financial Intelligence Unit, which is under the Finance Ministry, to scrutinize non-cash financial transactions. Now hopefully up till here you've also understood the advantages of forming this IT-based mechanism to keep track of non-financial transactions. Wherein the first advantage is that the Income Tax Department and the Enforcement Directorate can seek information from the Reserve Bank of India for investigation with regards to frauds or crime that have used non-financial transactions. The second advantage is that it would help in the identification of shell companies, wherein shell companies are those companies which have only been formed on paper and mainly indulge in financial maneuvering such as money laundering. The third advantage of this IT-based mechanism is that it would help in the curbing of black money. And the fourth and the last advantage of this is that it would strengthen the ability of Financial Intelligence Unit, which is under the Ministry of Finance, to scrutinize non-cash financial transactions. Now you have to understand that the formation of this IT-based mechanism is currently in talks, and therefore this news is currently in transition. And we'll have to wait and see on how this IT-based mechanism to keep tabs on non-financial transactions moves forward, and what would be the role of Reserve Bank of India with regards to this IT-based mechanism. However, with regards to your UPSC syllabus, wherein the formation of this IT-based mechanism would be placed in GS paper 3 within the section security, and more specifically within the subsection money laundering and its prevention, wherein this IT-based mechanism to keep tabs on non-financial transactions would be one of the methods to preventing money laundering. When previously a question has been asked in your UPSC mains examination, which was asked in GS paper 3 of 2013, which has said that money laundering poses a serious security threat to country's economic sovereignty, and had asked the question, what is its significance for India and what steps are required to be taken to control this menace of money laundering. Wherein to answer this question, one of the steps that you can refer to is the formation of this IT-based mechanism to keep tabs on non-financial transactions. And now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 11. Now the reason this article is in the news is because the Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh will be chairing a 2-day meeting of the North Eastern Council. Now, what we need to know with regards to this article is what is the Northeastern Council, and we'll try to understand this from your prelims examination perspective. Now, the Northeastern Council is the nodal agency for the economic and social development of the Northeastern region. Now, this Northeastern Council consists of 8 member states, which consists of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura, and Sikkim. Now, there is one unique feature to the membership of these 8 states. So, when we call the 7 sisters of the Northeast, it includes Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura. However, in the Northeastern Council, it includes Sikkim and the 7 sister states of the Northeast. Now, the Northeastern Council was formed in 1971 through what is known as the Northeastern Council Act of 1971. And the Northeastern Council Act of 1971 intended for the Northeastern Council to be a statutory advisory body, wherein the Northeastern Council would advise for the economic and social development of the Northeastern region. Now, this Northeastern Council Act of 1971 was amended in 2002, which envisioned that the Northeastern Council would act as a regional planning body. Now, after this, let us understand the various members of the Northeastern Council, where it would consist of the governors and the chief ministers of the 8 member states. Apart from this, it would consist of 3 members nominated by the President of India. And apart from this, it would consist of a chairman who has been nominated by the President of India, wherein the chairman nominated by the President would not be among the other members of the Northeastern Council. So now hopefully up till here you have understood the basic features of the Northeastern Council, wherein it is a nodal agency for the economic and social development of the Northeastern region, and it consists of 8 member states, which are Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura, and Sikkim. And one of the unique features of the membership of these 8 states that it includes Sikkim and the 7 sister states of the Northeast, wherein this Northeastern Council was formed in 1971 through the Northeastern Council Act of 1971. And this act intended for the Northeastern Council to be a statutory advisory body to provide socio-economic inputs for the development of the Northeastern region. However, the Northeastern Council Act of 1971 was amended in 2002, wherein under this Amendment Act, the Northeastern Council would also act as a regional planning body. And apart from this, the members of the Northeastern Council would include the governors and the chief minister of the 8 member states, apart from 3 members nominated by the President of India. And in addition, the chairman would also be nominated by the President of India. However, the chairman would not be among the other members of this Northeastern Council. So if you take a look at this article, the current chairman of the Northeastern Council is the Home Minister of India, wherein earlier the chairman of the Northeastern Council was the Minister of Development and Northeastern Region. So now hopefully you understood the basic features of the Northeastern Council. Wherein a question for your practice is which of the following statement on the Northeastern Council is correct? And you can provide the correct answer in the comment section below. And so now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 13. Now what this article talks about is the definition of the production cost, which would be used to fix the minimum support prices. Now as you might already know, the central government has agreed to fix the minimum support prices at 1.5 times the production cost. And this production cost would be calculated based on the formula A2 plus FL. Now the definition of the production cost of A2 plus FL on which the MSP would be given has already been covered in the DNS of 7th July, wherein you understand that under this formula, A2 would cover all the paid out cost that has directly been incurred by the farmer. And this cost under A2 would include both aspects of cost in cash and the cost that has been incurred by the farmer in kind, such as the cost on seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, hired labor, leased in land, fuel, irrigation, among other forms of cost that has been incurred by the farmer either in cash or in kind. While FL includes the value of the unpaid family labor. And so therefore the Commission on Agriculture Cost and Prices would recommend the minimum support prices by applying the 1 time formula on the production cost, and this production cost would be calculated based on A2 plus FL. Now hopefully up till here you've understood the government definition of the production cost. And now what will you understand from the snippet is what is meant by C2. Now C2 is another comprehensive definition of production cost, wherein under C2 it would include the cost that has been covered under A2 plus FL. And in addition, it would include the rental or the interest that has been lost. on owned land or the fixed capital assets. And it is on this that a future demand has been made that MSP should be implemented on C2 and not just A2 plus FL. Now, if you look at the last table, you will understand as to why this future demand is being made, wherein the promised MSP under A2 plus FL for paddy would be around 1750 rupees, while under the C2 formula, the MSP for paddy would have been around 2300, and they were creating a difference of roughly around 600 rupees. While similarly, if you look at moong dal, the current MSP on A2 plus FL would be worth around rupees 7000, while if MSP on moong dal was given on the formula C2, it would be worth around 9200 rupees, thereby creating a difference of roughly around 2200 rupees. And this is one of the reasons that farmers and farmers based organizations, while the Government of India has implemented MSP on the formula A2 plus FL. Now, hopefully, you have also understood the formula of C2. And lastly, you also understand as to why there is a future demand for production cost to be calculated on C2 and not just A2 plus FL. And with regards to your UPSC syllabus, the A2 plus FL formula and the C2 formula would be placed in GS paper 3 within the section Economic Development and in the subsection Issues related to minimum support prices. And so now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 13. And what this article talks about is that the funds that have been transferred to the immediate payment services has crossed 3.23 lakhs, and this is almost double the amount that has been recorded in the earlier year. Now what we'll do with regards to this article is understand as to what is IMPS or the immediate payment services. Now this immediate payment services is an instant interbank electronic fund transfer services which is done through mobile phones. And this immediate payment services is being extended to other channels such as ATMs, internet banking, among other forms of services for electronic fund transfer. Now, important fact that you should remember is that this facility of immediate payment services is provided by the National Payments Corporation of India. Now, the objective of the immediate payment services, wherein the first objective is to enable bank customers to use mobile instruments as a mean of accessing their bank accounts and transferring funds. The second main objective of the immediate payment services is to make payments simpler with the help of a mobile number, wherein it serves the goal of the Reserve Bank of India and of the Government of India for the digitalization of retail payments. Now, IMPS facilitates mobile payment systems based upon the RBI Mobile Payment Guidelines of 2008. And the final objective of IMPS is to build the foundation for a full range of mobile-based banking services. Now, the immediate payment services includes a remitter who is the sender, a beneficiary who receives the payment, the bank on through whose channel the payment has been made, and the National Financial Switch, which is the National Payment Corporation of India, which provides this immediate payment services. So now hopefully you've understood the basic features of the immediate payment services. Now previously a question was asked in your prelims examination, in the prelims examination of 2017, which had asked the National Payments Corporation of India helps in promoting the financial inclusion in the country. While the second statement had asked that the National Payments Corporation of India has launched the RuPay card. And within this context, the immediate payment services becomes important with regards to your prelims examination. And so now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 7. Now what this article talks about is that more than 200 rivers and streams across Arunachal Pradesh have dried up, which has caused water scarcity in Arunachal Pradesh. Now the reason the various rivers and streams in Arunachal Pradesh have dried up, wherein the first reason is the thinning of glaciers in the eastern Himalayas. And the reason the glaciers in eastern Himalaya are thinning out is because of climate change. And the second reason given in the article is that there has been a destruction of forest in Arunachal Pradesh due to the jhum cultivation or the shifting cultivation that is practiced in Arunachal Pradesh. And the third main reason given in the article for the water scarcity in Arunachal Pradesh is the large-scale hunting of animals. However, the article has not provided the reason as to how large-scale hunting of animals leads to water scarcity or the drying up of rivers and streams. Now hopefully you have understood the three reasons given in the article for water scarcity due to the drying up of rivers and streams in Arunachal Pradesh, wherein the first reason is the thinning of glaciers in eastern Himalayas due to climate change. The second reason is the destruction of forests in Arunachal Pradesh due to the practice of jhum cultivation, wherein this reduces the water holding capacity of mountains. And the third reason given in the article for water scarcity in Arunachal Pradesh is large-scale hunting of animals. Now the article has also provided a suggestion to combat this water scarcity. When the suggestion provided by the article is that public cooperation was required for the conservation of forest and wildlife in Arunachal Pradesh. And this is because much of the land in Arunachal Pradesh is community owned. Now with regards to your UPSC syllabus, this article and the explanation given in this section would be placed in GS paper 3 within the section environment and more specifically in the subsection conservation and environmental degradation.